Hi, this is Doug Howard with Growth Team Strategies. I'm here with Kathi Fleck for another episode of Selling the Dream. How you doing today, Kathi?
I'm doing great.
All right. So today we're going to talk about the importance of a coach, a business coach during the sale process. Being a business coach, I think it's obvious how important it is. I can't imagine this is even a discussion or an episode, but there may be some questions out there for people about what is a business coach and what is their role during the process. And, I think when people think about selling a business, it's very normal to recognize that we're going to have a broker involved and we're going to have an accountant involved and we're going to have an attorney involved at some point. But then there are some other people that can potentially be involved, a financial planner, business coach, and I know that's sort of the circumstances under which we met.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with that. So what are your thoughts on that, Kathi, about just business coaching and how it relates to the sale process?
Well, I'm a strong believer in coaches, and I think it just needs kind of that board of advisors. So whether it's somebody who specializes in coaching or somebody who understands your business, maybe your industry, I think it's helpful. They can see your blind spots where you're wanting to make decisions that may not be as viable for you. I think they can help direct you. There's a lot of decisions that need to be made throughout the entire selling process. And even though the broker's there and hopefully you have a good working relationship with the broker, they don't really know you or your business, or you might be questioning some of the direction that they may be giving you. So I just think it's helpful to have somebody walk alongside you, especially someone who understands you, your business, and possibly the sales process.
Yeah, I think there's an element of brainstorming, right, that goes
Mm-hmm.
along with the process, and we're really asking the accountant to give us advice based on taxes and structure. We're asking the attorney to get it structured legally the right way, and we're asking the broker to go out and promote it and do what they do really, really well. But I do think when it comes to sort of brainstorming, even some of the feedback you get from those folks, right, and how to
Mm-hmm.
put together what to emphasize, I think that's a big part of it. I think that was one of the things I always enjoyed about the time we spent working together.
Yeah, I think you're right. I know I was a bit frustrated putting the business on the market during the pandemic, and then it took 2 years for it to actually close. But during some of that time, things had just kind of seemed to stand still, and thinking, okay, is this ever going to sell? Is anybody really going to be interested in the business? Getting some leads of prospective buyers who really weren't good leads. I kind of look at it at that dating game where really you're just kind of hoping someone's going to ask you out for a date and you take
Right.
whatever you get. And so
Right.
some of that came along. And then why were things standing still? I think that's where you and I started really brainstorming is, okay, what can we do? We can't just have the business sitting on the market and nothing's happening. Can we reach out to different businesses? What can we target some different industries to see if they might be interested? And I know the broker was very helpful with it. Eventually, it just worked its way out on its own. But I think the frustration that goes through selling a process and needing to keep your head cool, I think those were very things that you helped me with as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think too, sometimes to push back a little bit, give the broker some perspective.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that we had some of the benefit of is I was doing a lot of work in your particular industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just, brokers going to look across a broad range of businesses, right? They're going to work with all kinds of businesses. Some of that, hey, this is what's going on in our world, or some trends that we're seeing within the industry or within a particular geography, right?
Right.
Sometimes a business coach is going to really know what's going on in our community or in our state or,
Mm-hmm.
those kinds of things. I think the other thing that's interesting though is, and it's always important for people to remember, is that while you're selling the business, you still have to be running the business and improving
Right.
the
Right.
right? And that can go on for a long period of time. And so while the sale is happening, we're also trying to look at things so that when the accountant says, boy, I wish that number was better, or the broker says it would really be great if we could show this or that,
Mm-hmm.
there's
Mm-hmm.
still a period of time to impact those things, like
Right.
putting together a sales process or the next quarter's, numbers looking better. So I think that's a part of it too, don't you think, is like what's going on in the business while we're selling?
Right, right. And I think just juggling those things, it's time consuming to sell a business. I kept it quiet so that my staff and my clients would feel confident that they still had business as usual. And so it's just kind of keeping myself cool throughout that process was challenging at times. And
Yeah.
like, how do you handle such and such when the buyer decided that he didn't want to work with the bank and we had another 3 months or so to start over? I mean, I needed that support because you're like almost at the finish line and then all of a sudden you're backtracking. And
Yeah.
so it's kind of emotional support as well.
Kathy, I'm going to say you are totally even keel and cool, except on the days when you weren't.
And that's when I came crying to you. Help! What do I do about this? How do I handle this?
Yeah, well, but it's funny, though, because you make two good points. One is not everybody knows what's going on. Sometimes the number of people that know you're selling is very, very limited, right? And the second thing is, I think this is true of just running a business in general. There's a tremendously emotional side to it. We're having good days and bad days. But when you add the challenges of running a business to the sale process itself, and for better or worse, one of the things that's easier about being a coach is that, while you're going through it and I can empathize, I'm not feeling the same pressure you're feeling.
Right.
It's like the attorney that says, I really hope you don't go to jail, but they know they're not going to jail with you.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
That's what allows them to stay nice and calm throughout the whole trial.
I know.
So, yeah. So in terms of that, if someone's never used a coach, do you think that that's just something that would be hard to embrace during the sale process? Or there's some ways to do that as well?
Yeah, I think really there's two schools of thought. People who either like to have a coach or support system, or those who don't find it valuable. And so I think if you're going to be expecting this kind of money to come in from the sale of a business, to put the extra effort into having that support system behind you is really valuable. And even if they've never used a coach before, it's to maybe figure out what kind of coaching they need. The coach can certainly give them direction on it, but they could say, no, I don't really want that, or I'm fine without this part. But even if it's just a few meetings to get them going with the process, I think it could be really helpful to them. And it makes a difference because you put all of that time and effort into building a business, and you have a good bit of money that you can be making as a result of selling the business and keeping it intact. It would be well worth it to have that support to make sure it happens.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Well, and it's interesting, and it's only happened a few times in the experiences that I've had, but sometimes even that buyer has an interest in some of that resource, that coaching resource. In other words, to say, if you're familiar with this business and I'm going to go through this transition, there may be some value in even getting some assistance as I'm getting out of the gate.
True. I think that's really a good point because it can really help the new owner to keep the business running smoothly as they're deciding which decisions they need to make in order to make changes or keep the processes as is.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the importance of a coach, I think we nailed it. I think people now understand. I expect the phones to be ringing off the hook from this point forward, right? Because we made it very clear. Kathi, your insights are always, always on spot. And I think it's so helpful for people to hear about actual real life stories of folks having gone through the process because it can be so challenging. So thanks for your input.
Thank you, Doug.
Participation. Selling the Dream. We'll be talking to you again sometime soon.
Thank you for listening to the Selling the Dream podcast, starring Doug Howard and Kathi Fleck. Both Doug and Kathi have built and sold successful businesses and hope this podcast will help other small business owners do the same. Tune in every week to hear more tips for increasing the value of your company so you get the highest return for your years of hard work when it comes time to sell or transition your business. Can't wait till next week? Check out our website for more information at www.growththemes.com.